There's a rhythm to how we move through the world, what we reach for, what we return to, what we choose without hesitation. Spending becomes part of that rhythm. It feels earned, it feels expressive, yet beneath that rhythm is structure, and structure carries consequence. What we participate in begins to shape what remains available to us. There's a rhythm to how we move through the world, what we reach for, what we return to, what we choose without hesitation. Spending becomes part of that rhythm. It feels earned, it feels expressive. Yet beneath that rhythm is structure, and structure carries consequence. What we participate in begins to shape what remains available to us. There are questions that do not pass through you. They stay. They ask for your attention again and again until you decide to sit with them fully. This conversation began long before this moment. It began in the process of building, in understanding what it means to create space for voices that exist without recognition. Trua, Issue Zero, and Reckoned App are a response to the blatant disparities faced by Black Americans and marginalized communities, under-recognized founders, especially today. A way to bring visibility to what already holds value. In this core episode of Issue Zero, we enter a principal conversation on economic direction, where money moves, what it sustains, what it leaves behind. There's no demand for agreement here, only an invitation to see clearly. Because what is funded becomes foundation. What becomes foundation determines what remains. This conversation extends beyond us. It moves into media, into economics, into culture, bringing in additional perspectives, allowing the conversation to deepen. This conversation extends beyond us. It moves into media, into economics, into culture. Bringing in additional perspective allows the conversation to deepen. We need to name what moment we're in before we can talk about the power we have in it. Because I think people are feeling a lot of things right now: anger, exhaustion, confusion. And I want us to be specific about what actually happened.
Many of these choices were never neutral. They were shaped long before we arrived. Access was once limited, visibility was once withheld. Now, the response to that history shows up in real time. The desire to be seen, the desire to hold something that signals your arrival. Yet the signal does not always reflect the structure behind it. And sometimes that question has always been there. It has simply never been spoken in a way that requires an answer. And when visibility meets intention, responsibility follows. Once something is seen clearly, it cannot return to being unseen. That is where this conversation begins. There is a moment when awareness arrives and it refuses to leave. This episode exists within that moment. This is a dialogue shaped by lived experience and sharpened by observation. It moves through the quiet architecture behind everyday decisions. The things we reach for, the systems we participate in, the patterns we inherit without question. Perspective creates dimension, and dimension allows clarity to take form in new ways. Let me put numbers on it. Let me put some numbers on it. In January 2025, Target eliminated its hiring goals for minority employees, dismantled its racial justice committee, killed its supplier diversity program, which had pledged $2 billion to Black-owned businesses by 2025, and stopped submitting information to the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. All of it in just one announcement.
So let's start with Target. I think that Target was a great example of what the power of the purse can really mean. And I know you have some data for us today. So
I do have the data. And
please share.
I think everybody is aware that Target faced a boycott and that the result of that boycott, which some people might not know, but I like the data and the facts. So here are some of the facts with regards to Target. Black Americans spend an estimated, and this is as of February 2025, $12 million per day at Target. That's
That's
incredible.
insane.
Yes. And as I previously said, they had committed $2 billion to Black businesses before this rollback. But we instituted the Target boycott or Target fast or whatever it was called. I didn't call it a fast. I call it a boycott because for me, it's a permanent boycott.
Correct.
Because once you show me who you are, then I'm going to believe you, and then I'm going to act accordingly. And so I just feel like Target, you showed us, who you really are, that when the administration changes or, it's no longer in vogue to be for diversity, that you are going to go that direction. So for me, I'm not going to be a supporter of a fair weather friend. So anyway, the Target lost $12.4 billion in market value following its DEI rollback, and their stock dropped over $27 a share. And I think that that's an excellent example and case for the power of the purse and the power of the Black dollar. So let me pose a question to you, Trystanne, because Target said when it came out with all of these rollbacks that it was staying in step with the evolving eternal landscape. And so what does that mean? How do you interpret that? And is that an excuse for a company to, go back on its promises?
On their words.
Right.
100%. Of course, it's an excuse. They're falling in line with the current administration and the billionaire class.
Right.
That are constantly promising and not delivering, because it works for them to pretend like they're going to do something and people vote on it and hope on it, and then it goes away.
Right.
So I think 100% it's lies, and they base it on they use lies and misinformation to get us to continue to shop so they can keep filling their pockets.
It's performative.
Yes.
And, I feel like a lot of us, and myself included, have been bamboozled because after, the murder of George Floyd, we saw a lot of companies that came out and made commitments. And only a few of those companies have actually followed through on those commitments. But as soon as the tide turned, and the current tide here in the United States that is not supportive of diversity, equity, inclusion,
Well, I think we can say DEI has now turned into another acronym, if you will. So DEI is now you didn't earn it.
Right, which is,
Because there are a lot of DEI hires in the current administration.
Yeah, there are. There absolutely are. I mean, if you want to look at the truth behind DEI, it's how some people view it, because a lot of people are under a misapprehension about what DEI was even for and who it benefited and how it worked. And some people think it meant quotas, and that's not the case. And some people, think it's just for Black people, right? And like, God forbid anybody do anything to try to help us or try to repair all of the harm that has been done to our ancestors, our communities that we're still experiencing today. Even if it was just for us, there would be nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. But
100%.
I think what the larger conversation is is how do we trust these companies
Mm,
when they come out and with all of these promises and then they don't follow through?
yeah. So I think it brings us to a very good point in the reason why we wanted to have this specific episode, which was you posted a post on Instagram where you talked about why are we still spending with these companies? Why are we still giving them our money when they don't give a flying hoot about us and
Right,
our communities
right,
and what we um are the goals that we're trying to reach and the opportunities that should be afforded to us.
right.
And when I saw that video, that's when we reconnected and we talked about the podcast and then we started this. So I think it's very fitting. Well, everything is so fitting with us, right?
Yeah, true. That's true.
The power of the purse, and we have your beautiful bags here
Oh,
today as well. The bag icon, which are just beautifully made in Italy, Italian leather, and just very well thought out and very beautifully designed. But it's an example of how we can really use our power
right.
to support one another within our communities.
Yeah.
So that brings me to sort of the point about um, that video. So
Oh, yeah.
we're
So,
they're gonna play it so that our audience can see it.
sure.
Um, you can head to Seneca Bernyard Connor on Instagram and take a look at the video. But here it is again.
Okay, so I know that I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, but these things need to be said. So, this is my question to Black people, my people. Why are we still buying luxury goods? Luxury goods. Why are we still buying from these European luxury houses like the Chanel, the Louis Vuitton, the Dior, the Hermes, the Prada, the Gucci? Why are we buying from these people? They do nothing for our communities. What they do is appropriate our culture, okay, steal from us without any kind of recognition or reciprocity. When you buy a Chanel bag, a Hermes bag, a whatever handbag or shoe or whatever, that money is going back to Europe. It's going back to Florence or it's going back to Paris. It does not stay here to help or support our communities. We get nothing in return. We have tremendous, tremendous buying power, and we're using it to support and prop up companies that don't give a care about us. Okay? They don't even care enough to put us on their boards, to give us any stake and make a decision in their company. I believe there's only one Black person who is a executive board member for Prada. That is it. And if you guys come for me and talk about Pharrell at Louis Vuitton, I'm sorry, but I'm not even sure that Pharrell is still Black, okay, after some of the things that he has said. So I don't want to hear that either. We have to be smarter about how we spend our money. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money because I don't count other people's money or get into other people's pocketbooks because I was raised well. But you should be asking yourselves these questions. Why are we supporting these companies that do absolutely nothing for us? We need to start using and exercising the biggest power that we have, which is the power of the purse, your pocketbook. These companies worship one thing only, and that is money. Okay. So why should we continue to support them when they offer us nothing? They're selling people a lie. They're trading on people's very human desire to want to belong and want to be seen as successful. And that is also a lie. You don't need their bags to be successful, to show people that you are successful. Let's think about this, people. Okay.
So the impetus, I think, for that video was to start a conversation because I do truly feel like the luxury houses are, egregious actors in terms of this particular topic. For me, I'm in the handbag space. So it was just natural for me to start there. Certainly, they are not the only bad actors, but I started there because I do think, and it does frustrate me that we have lots of, Black-owned bags and Black-owned luxury companies that I don't necessarily see getting the type of support. I see the support going to these other luxury houses
100%.
that are absolutely not committed to Black community, meaning they don't have Black people in executive positions. They don't have people who are voting members on their board of directors. They don't have people who are actually driving the decisions and making the decisions.
Yet they spent how much? I think it was $10 billion.
They spend, I believe it's $12 billion, and that was like, I think 20, I can't remember the exact year, but it was maybe 2023, where just LVMH spent $12 billion in marketing, right? And a lot of that marketing is also influenced by Black culture.
Yes.
But yet there is no reciprocity, meaning you take, our ideas, you take our designs, you take our culture, and then you sell it back to us at an egregiously marked up price, just so you know. And lots of people are starting to understand that, a bag that cost, Dior 50 euros to make, and they sell it for almost 3,000 euros, like that people are actually being taken advantage of. So that was the impetus for the video, and it got a lot of response, and I got a lot of supportive comments.
Yes. But you also got a lot.
And I got a lot of not supportive comments. You don't see them on there because I block those people.
Yeah, get rid of the negative energy.
Right. But there was one thing that, a few people came on and said, and this can lead us to a larger conversation, is, why does a corporation or a company owe us anything? They provide a product and you buy it, and and so that should be the end of the story.
No.
So so what should we be holding these companies to? Like, what standards, and what should we be demanding from them, and why?
This is the perfect segue to, you guys probably haven't heard yet of the Reckoned app, but the Reckoned app, which this wonderful lady here has done the research, done the data, and set it up, which each of you should go and download right now. Reckoned is spelled RECKOND, and put it in quotation marks, and then download it on your iPhone. You can also download the extension on your desktop. And anytime you're on any website, it will pop up a grade. And that grade has 7 dimensions of exactly who you are shopping with, essentially, right?
The things that are important for me as a Black consumer, as a Black person in the United States, the things that are important, their legal record, their history of racial discrimination lawsuits, their workforce diversity, like how many, Black people do you have in executive positions? How many Black people do you have on your board?
Yes.
Their community investment,
Yes.
their supplier diversity. Are you working with, Black-owned businesses and Black-owned vendors? And so it takes these 7 dimensions, and every company, through publicly available data,
which
Okay.
most people don't know that they have that information available to
Right.
them. So you putting it in one place for us to see
Right.
and to be able to make our own choice once we see it
Absolutely.
is
It's
just
it's a data point.
brilliant.
It's a data point, and it's knowledge that can help you make informed
Yep.
choices. Because I truly believe that the big conversation that we have to have here in the United States when it comes to what we see happening to Black people and to our rights, that are
Being
um,
rolled back, just
being
like
rolled
DEI.
back, and they're trying to take us back to Jim Crow.
Hmm.
The next conversation is economic.
Correct.
It's
Everybody should vote.
economic.
Everybody should vote because your vote is your voice. So everybody should definitely vote. But as you always say, the next step is your economic power, and your
Yep.
economic power is through your purse, which means that when you know who you're shopping with, the question you last posed about some of the people in the comments from your post were asking about, so what? How do we hold them accountable? Whatever,
Or
whatever,
do we even need to hold them
or yeah,
accountable?
almost like
Because
who cares?
it's just like,
I'm just buying this and whatever.
it's just a transaction.
Yeah,
So it's just, hey, you got a bag I like, and so
I can afford it.
I'm gonna buy it, and you give it to me, and
Yeah,
that's the end of the deal. But unfortunately, that is not the end of the story. It's not even the
correct.
beginning of the
Correct.
story.
I'm going to go to an example that might be sensitive to some people. We live here in the Bay Area, and I would say a huge percentage of cars that we see on the road are Teslas.
Yeah.
And when we now see what the CEO of Tesla did, the owner, Mr. Musk, um, to completely ensure that this administration was put into power, and what this administration
Right.
has been doing to us, to
Right.
Black people, to our
And then
communities.
headed up the effort to get Black people, and specifically Black women,
Yeah.
out of the federal workforce.
I don't know what that
And he
number is now, but it's, yeah,
single-handedly,
yeah. Over
um,
600,000 Black women has
yes,
been laid off since 2025 when this new administration came in. Donald and the gang. And to answer that question to your commenter, that's why. Because the more power you give to people that don't care about your community,
right,
the less opportunity you have.
right. And I'm going to take it even a step further,
Yeah.
because from a legal perspective,
Yes.
because I'm an attorney by trade, so that's how my brain works. So what happened with the Citizens United
Mm,
decision by the Supreme Court that basically allowed companies to contribute to political campaigns? This is my issue. It's
mhm.
like, corporations are, in terms of the law, are people,
Yes. Well,
and they have the right
mhm.
to contribute to campaigns, right? And with that money, to affect policy, to affect decisions, to affect, who wins in a certain race.
Yes.
And because they have that power, and because they're being treated as people, that's one of the most devastating decisions, I believe, that the Supreme Court made,
Yeah.
was Citizens United. Because the amount of money that is in politics, and the fact of the matter is that us, as just regular citizens
Mhm.
and regular people,
Mhm.
we may not have millions of dollars to contribute to our cause or our candidate,
But as
but
a
but
collective,
a Amazon,
mhm,
a Tesla,
mhm,
they do have that type of money.
100%.
And they tie it up in all of these PACs, these super PACs, and hide it underneath.
Mhm.
But guess what? My Reckon app, that's one of the dimensions
Yes,
that
it
they are
is.
scored on.
Mhm.
Every company is scored on where are they contributing. Are they contributing to campaigns that are trying to strip Black Americans of their voting rights?
And
And
opportunities.
right.
Yeah.
And we need to know this
100%.
because we cannot contribute or continue to make these companies rich that are literally working for our demise.
And to go back to that question again from the commenter, the reason why we yes, you want to buy a Tesla, but
No,
understand.
don't buy a
But
Tesla.
understood.
Don't buy a Tesla. Okay? Do not buy a Tesla.
But understand, if you do buy a Tesla, you are literally voting against yourself,
Yes.
because the person that owns Tesla is actively working with the current government to make sure that you cannot afford the Tesla.
Right. That you
So
can afford it, and then also you're not going to get the rebate that you used to get on it.
correct. All the
But
rebates have been rolled back as
yeah,
well.
but also someone, who believes in the inferiority of Black people. And so I will be damned if I would ever give a
no.
dollar. That man, his
Not even a
name
penny.
is not even allowed to be mentioned in my
your house.
home.
I know.
No,
He who shall remain nameless. That's what we
nameless.
say.
Absolutely not.
But also, I want to mention, this man came from South Africa
Yes.
to the U.S. He lived in the state of California. He took advantage of every subsidy that was placed by a Democratic administration.
Yep.
And then now he's turning around and taking away all of those programs because nobody else should have access to them.
Right.
Only him.
It's somebody.
And that's what you're
yeah.
contributing to.
It's someone who climbs the ladder and then they knock it down behind them so nobody else can come up. It's
Correct.
like, no, I'm going to be the only person, and then you have the nerve to say, oh, federal government, we need to close the job. So that federal government and the government is what got you all those subsidies. So it's okay for you, but it's not okay for anybody else. And it's not okay for the working person. It's not okay for the regular person that actually needs, a helping hand and a way to, to step up, in this world. So it's infuriating.
It is.
I think
It is.
you can see you touch a nerve, we're talking about that particular person. I watched a documentary actually that was interviewing his father, and it was frightening. His father is a
white supremacist,
a bigot. He takes the view that the white people that went to South Africa, basically improved the lives of all of the Black people that were there, all of the Africans that were there. And, they should be grateful. They should be grateful because we gave them jobs. He said, they could go back to the jungle. I mean, my mouth was just like on the floor, and the interviewer's mouth also was. I don't know that he could really believe what he was hearing.
Right.
But he did kind of push back on him and say like you can't be serious, or like
you realize it's 2026,
racist,
right?
And he's like, me, but I'm not racist. Like, it's incredible. But this is the person that raised Mr. Musk.
Correct. So that tells you exactly how he thinks. And take, all for me, none for you.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, we shouldn't, everybody should work hard everybody should have the opportunity to work as hard as they would like, but have the same opportunity to reach where everybody can get to.
Right.
Not to say you have this opportunity, you can get to the top, and you have less opportunity and you get nothing.
But the gag is that they try to say like they never took any help. They were never given, something that they didn't deserve.
Yeah.
But everybody else, the person who is on government assistance getting $100 a month for food, like they're the problem, not the big ass corporation who is getting millions of dollars in subsidies.
Trillions.
And it's like, you are the one that's actually the welfare recipient.
100%.
It's not the person who's getting $100 for food
Yeah. To be able to nourish themselves and their family.
to meet a basic need,
Yeah.
because and a lot of those people, have other
Issues.
issues that they're trying to, live through, survive, and to overcome. But
To
um
talk about the boycott again, which we think is super powerful. So you should be registered to vote. You should learn about your candidates. Make sure they're not wolves in sheep's clothing, because there's a lot of that happening as well, where people run as a Democrat and then all of a sudden they are not voting with
yeah,
Democratic ideals. Um, and I don't play party politics. I play humanity politics. I'm a human being, and I want every human being to have access to all of the basic needs, period, end of,
equal,
whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
right.
But after this administration, if you're a Republican, I would suggest you go independent, because this is shameful.
Yeah,
Absolutely shameful. If any of you are standing there and saying, "Oh, well, but," absolutely shameful.
yeah,
That party is over, and it is a disgrace to American ideals, to freedom, and to opportunity. So
right.
that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Um, the I wanted to talk a little bit about the grapefruit ladies, who are women in Ireland
Mm-hmm.
that essentially helped stop apartheid in South
Right.
Africa.
Yeah.
They worked at a grocery store and they heard about what was happening in South Africa. And some of the goods were being imported to Ireland, and they would not ring up anybody that purchased anything that came from South Africa. That was their way of participating in humanitarian rights.
Right.
I'm not ringing up your grapefruit because it comes from South Africa. And the consumer, most of them weren't even aware.
Sure.
So it brought awareness. Then it rolled into this huge thing. They ended up meeting Nelson Mandela, and they became heroes in my
Right.
eyes.
Right.
So it doesn't have to come from, you know, it can be anything, any
Right.
little thing, but the power of your purse, the power of your money
Right.
needs to be understood at this moment, how powerful it is. And you may have to go without ordering from DoorDash or Amazon or whatever. Those are the conveniences that we have today.
Right.
But the inconvenience for our ancestors who were beaten and bled and killed in order for us to be able to have the right to vote and the right to be where we are today, and now being rolled back all the way, it's an inconvenience.
Right.
So we suggest that you understand the power of your purse. The app is free to download. There's no cost, zero cost, zero. It is free to download, and
Yes.
I use it all the time now. For example, yesterday we were talking on the phone, and I said, "Did you do Uber and Lyft?" And she said, "Oh, wait a minute." And she did it. And she goes, "Uber has a D." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay." And I said, "What about Lyft?" And she said, "Lyft has a B." And I said, "I will never take Uber again." And I take Uber all the time, or cars all the time. So I now take Lyft.
Right.
If I do it and 100,000 other people do
Right.
it, Uber will feel it. And they
Yeah.
need to feel it, because they need to understand that the power of the purse comes from us.
It is. It's the power. The power is with the people. They don't want you to realize that. And they don't want you to really understand that. They want you to think that they have the power because they have all the money and this
Yeah.
and that. But that's not true, because the people are what uphold, companies. We uphold economies. And if the people decide that they're not going to participate or purchase from, then you bet things are going to change. Because there's no way that these folks, these corporations who, are their slave master is money.
Mhm.
And that slave master is cruel, and it drags you around on a very short leash. And they will follow their slave master wherever it leads them. And so if they start seeing this money go away, I guarantee you,
Things will change.
you will see a change.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that they respect.
And that's what they do. They essentially put together, Instagram, all of the different items that we have available to us today, they give it to us so that they can keep us busy
Right.
and so that they can keep us comfortable. And so we can be like, oh, it's such an inconvenience to do that.
And distracted. But I want to talk about that and talk about like the convenience and boycotts, because historically, let's just take the civil rights movement, boycotts, the Montgomery bus boycott. That is what broke the back.
Yes.
That is what was really the final straw that got the legislation passed. And that was after, I know it was, no, it was over a year of boycotting the bus system. And that was a huge that had a huge economic impact. And I think that we have to get all of the weapons in our arsenal. Voting is one weapon. And also economics is a huge weapon.
Yes.
And so
probably the biggest, I think.
We're going to have to go back to that. And it was an inconvenience for those people. It was an inconvenience for them to have to walk.
To not take the bus and walk.
Yes. That was probably a huge inconvenience. For us, most of us don't have to, make those types of sacrifices.
Correct.
But you can redirect your spending.
Yes.
You can redirect your spending to a Black-owned business.
Especially on the app, it also gives you an alternative.
It surely does.
If you are going, Amazon, and you see that they have an F or a D.
Amazon?
Yeah.
It's probably an F.
Yeah. They have an F. But if you see that and you say, okay, well, what should I do? She actually added alternatives on there of Black-owned businesses, which then gives us the economic power to have our own system, essentially.
To say, oh, gosh, like this company, we all know about the big ones. We know about Amazon, Walmart, Target, right? We know about the big ones.
We do.
But the app scores, I think we have now 822 brands. And so, in a lot of them, you may not have any earthly idea of what they have going on behind the, curtain.
I just love how it educates. Like, I've been using it like crazy for the last few weeks. And when it pops up and I look at it and I'm like, holy, like it tells you, hey, this company has been sued like 10 times for X amount of money. And here's what, a gist of what the case was about, and it gives you all that information. So we're not trying to sell you the app because there's nothing to sell. It's literally
it's free. And I did that on purpose because I could have charged for it. It cost
100%.
me money to build it, and I could have said, oh, I'm going to charge, $199, $5.99 for it. But I don't want any barrier. I don't want anyone to have any barrier to the knowledge and to the information and the data that this app makes available. But I will say that more people need to jump on it and download it. We cannot have our heads in the sand right now.
And
we just can't.
Remember yesterday what happened? Yesterday or the day before? This is to show you how powerful this app is and economic boycotting. Somebody posted on social media about a company that they were trying to partner with and work with.
Oh, yeah. The Kupsha.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say the name.
It's Kupshi, or I don't know how to say it.
It's Kupsha now. Okay? It's Kupsha now. Somebody in the comments was like, I'm now forever going to pronounce it Kupsha because I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't even care to get it right because
I think it's Poopsha. Yeah, that's what I think it should be.
What they did. So that was actually something I posted. It was yesterday?
Yesterday or the day before?
I don't know. It was
very,
very recently where there was, she's actually a Black woman who owns a talent agency.
That's right.
And I believe she was reaching out to the Kupsha's influencer department to submit her her influencers,
Mhm.
right, that are with her agency. And the response came back that we're not working with Black people
For
during
2026 or something like
for
that?
this
Yeah,
campaign
yeah.
or something of that.
Yeah,
And
we're
it's
not
just
working with Black influencers for this. I think it was this year or
she
something.
said Black people.
Yeah.
She said, we're not working with Black people or
Mm-mm.
something for this campaign.
Mm-mm.
And so the talent
Mm.
agency owner, she posted it on Threads. And then, of course,
Seneca found
I
it.
found it, but I found it from it's called 92% News
Yes, which
channel
I
that
love, by the way.
I follow.
Yeah.
And so, and then it kind of just went viral because, this brand, and actually I had an experience with the brand because I had bought a swimsuit. It's mainly like swimsuits, but I think they've evolved and now they're in retail stores,
Mhm.
Macy's and all kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I had bought a swimsuit and this is years ago. And when I got it, the bottom was not fitting correctly.
Mhm.
It's made for a different booty.
Bottom.
Right. It's a different butt that's made for. And so I returned it and then I just decided like, ooh, these are not made for,
Us.
us. So I never bought, anything again. But yeah, so what was kind of sad was that a lot of people were questioning this woman that they were just saying that, oh, well,
maybe it's something you did, or
yeah,
maybe it's the
or
way you
you
said
need
it.
proof. We need proof that this is true.
Mhm.
And look, I just took her at her word. I took her at her word because I've worked in corporate America. I've worked in very large companies, and I am a daily witness to the stupidity that occurs where you just go,
Discrimination.
yeah, or just like, you can't say that,
Mhm.
or why put that in writing?
They said it, they put it in
So,
writing, and they sent it to her. So
yeah.
she posted essentially the message, and you found it. So Seneca then did a post and said they're immediately going into Reckoned.
Yes. And so I
And
scored them.
and then what happened after that?
So I scored, I went into, on my back end where I, can submit a brand for scoring. And I have my methodology and algorithm
What did
that
they come
I've
out?
developed. What do you think they came out as?
Probably a D.
No, an F.
What?
Yeah. So they came out as an F, and
Well, of course they did.
yeah, I wasn't like too shocked at that because they probably don't have, any like diversity initiatives, probably don't contribute to, the Black
Communities, yeah.
community, supplier diversity, blah, blah, blah.
What
not
shocked
doing
me when I
anything.
saw it, I went to their Instagram. I immediately blocked them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I commented and said I would never shop there. And I saw that they had two beautiful Black models modeling their bathing suits.
I saw that too.
So that is the appropriation that I'm talking about, and those Black models probably didn't even know what was happening at that point. So I think they responded to you and said that the person that responded to that lady was fired and so on and so forth. And
But
I just I want some receipts is what I want.
But here's my thing, and I'm going to say this, and I might make another post about it. But what I want to bring up with that just lame ass apology that I saw is that because I know, and I've been in, roles, I know how decisions get made. And I know for a fact that young lady who sent that message is not the one who made the decision about not having Black people.
Correct.
So that came from
the top.
Somewhere else. That came from her boss that was in a meeting that they had. Now, they didn't expect her to repeat that or to put that in writing, but she definitely got that from a higher up, right? But they're going to scapegoat her,
of course,
and they're going to say, "Oh no, she just went rogue and said,"
exactly. And then she just all of a sudden just decided to work against the
right.
company.
Yeah, we know that that's BS.
Yeah.
she was repeating something that she had been instructed
Correct.
on, but they never told her not to put that in writing.
Correct.
Right, or not to communicate that, and unfortunately, she had emotional intelligence, or whatever, to to realize that that's not, she shouldn't have done that. But in any case,
You know what I think? We're going to have a second episode of this because there's so much more to talk about. And
yeah,
we should definitely do a second episode of this. I think we have so much more to talk about.
we do. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to discuss when it comes to our buying power, and does that actually translate to wealth?
Yes.
Or, what can we actually do with that buying power to build real wealth? Because the racial wealth gap it's deplorable.
Yes, it is.
It's really deplorable.
I think we should end this segment with you talking about the Black dollar, how powerful it is. You have some data there about.
I do. I have
If we
data
close
because
out
I
with
love
that,
data.
yeah.
And I love, research and in data. But there are also some things that this data reveals that are that is going to lead to some uncomfortable conversations that we as a Black community need to have.
Correct.
Because we need to have these conversations so that we know how to organize, strategize,
Organize.
and move forward.
Yes.
But just so, I can leave off with some data here
Of
about
how powerful.
Right. So the Black buying power grew 42% from 2019 to 2021.
Wow.
And that's the fastest growing demographic and growth rate in US history.
I believe it.
It's huge, right? And it's projected to reach $2.2 trillion this year.
Trillion with the
$2.2 trillion per year is our spending power. But let's talk about some of the other data that is a little bit uncomfortable and we need to confront as a community. That only 2% of the Black gross national income recirculates within Black communities.
2%.
If we could raise that, to 10%, it would create 1 million new jobs. That's incredible.
And that's how we have to think about it. Not, I'm going to give my money here, because we have to think about it within our communities, spending it with the people that are doing the work for the community with humanity in mind.
Right. And redirecting it away from these other companies that we support, right? Most of which don't deserve our dollars.
Nope.
And redirecting it back into the Black community.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of our buying power and what we spend on is non-essential purchases. Okay? And we need to have that talk as well.
Yes, because that's why education is so important. So
right.
That's what we're here for. That's what the app is here for. And we're going to do episode 2 of the power of the purse. In the meantime, I think go and download that app now. It's free. And you will start getting educated on who you're spending with, how you're spending it, and you will have alternatives to spend with, because the more we spend within our communities, the more powerful we are.
That's right. Okay, we'll be back for episode number 2 on the power of the purse. And this is a very, very
important
conversation. So we hope that, you'll come back and participate and watch us and get involved in this conversation and have this conversation with your people. And because we need to be talking about this.
100%.
Okay.
So thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.